Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have ELD Team Unified Legacy Open. Team Hammerfist versus the Wizards. The Lesney Adepts. Actually, it's more like Naya Adepts. They've got that red splash for Minsky Boo. What an absolute bomb he is. Capable of winning games all by himself and an empty board. I mean, even sometimes on a crowded board, the guy just brings some serious hamster violence. On the other side, we have the Wizards with Elves, which is kind of morphed more into a black-green aggro deck, more so than 5 cards, digging 6 cards with Once Upon a Time. I think he actually digged an extra card there. It was an error. I might have counted that incorrectly. Let me know in the comments if there was an extra card accidentally looked at there. This is a fairly new deck to the pilot. Team Unified rules mean that you're going to be kind of getting outside of your typical comfort zone very often. I mean, you can only have 4 Force of Wills, 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder, 4 Wasteland, you name it. The playset rule applies to the entire team. So somebody may end up playing decks that they don't have a ton of reps with. An interesting puzzle to try and solve. I'm not a fan of kind of mongrel formats where you arbitrarily ban cards. I don't like the new reprints, so we're going to ban those. Not a fan of that, but doing a Team Unified does shake things up while still playing the format that we all love. Sometimes you're going to be playing decks that you don't have a ton of reps on. Collector Oof comes down, shutting off Mox Diamond. We know there's a guy's Cradle in hand. That's what was found off of the Once Upon a Time. Knight of the Reliquary so far able to tutor up Wastelands, trying to keep mana tight on the other side of the board. Like it's going to do it again. Oh, actually attacking that time. And before damage, going to go ahead and crop rotate. Going to be pulling together the combo. We might just be seeing a 2020 very quickly here. Already a Yavimaya on board. Nope, he's actually going to go Mana Denial. How I feel about that. That is not the line I would take. Let me know in the comments how you would have played that. I think I would have rather... Well, he's got the Karakas on board. This is a tough one. I mean, you can definitely assemble your Merit Lage combo and then go get a Wasteland for that Karakas. As Cradle, along with this Llanowar Elf. Big leap forward in mana. Does set things back with another Wasteland, getting rid of the Cradle. So many forests. Yavimaya ensuring that any one of those lands can be sacrificed to Knight of the Reliquary. Yavimaya also allowing Dark Depths to tap for mana, meaning you only need 3 lands in play in order to make your combo come together. 2 mana to activate Thespian Stage, 1 actually coming from your Dark Depths. And this Llanowar Elf should have went to the bin. What got sacrificed to Gris? So Gris was -2 to destroy a creature or planeswalker. Yeah, one of those creatures should have been sacrificed. So either Collector Oof or Llanowar Elf should be off the board. I would imagine Llanowar Elf. Oof doing some work, shutting off the Mox Diamond currently. Also setting a better clock. May come to that. It may just be beating down with Collector Oof and any insects that Grist manufactures. Sylvan Library on the other side will allow Team Hammerfist to exchange some life for some extra cards, but, you know, the noose is tightening here. Grist back up to 2 counters. The next creature may not be around for very long. Sect that can be sacrificed now. Wow, just going all out. Swords to Plowshares takes care of Collector Oof, unlocking the Mox Diamond, and then a pair of Elvish Reclaimers. Opposition Agent flashes in during the end step. What a... oh, that is graphic. 2 Elvish Reclaimers would have been a way back into this game, that tutoring ability. Now totally shut off by the Oppo. Bojuka Bog exiles the graveyard, shrinking these elves as well. Back down to just being 1/2s. The value of 3/4 for 1 green completely shut down. Card is unbelievably good. I mean, I have sleeved up Nimble Mongoose before. This guy is significantly better. Guess it doesn't have Shroud, so not strictly better, but 3/4 with a tutoring ability that can win the game. Of course, not when opposition agent's on board. Now, Sylvan Library allows to a little bit of digging. It's so much better when you can shuffle, though, and that is going to be a wrap. Wow, that is unfortunate. Let me know in the comments. I believe that there was an extra creature on board. Risk not taking out a creature on both sides. Sacrifice a creature. That ability. Usually Elves has plenty of creatures to sacrifice, especially when you're taking out something menacing like a Knight of the Reliquary or a Murktide Regent. I've actually lost against this Elves deck in back-to-back tournaments, or back-to-back times that I've played against it. That is pretty rare for me. And got absolutely wrecked by Snuff Out in one of those matches. Collector Oof shut off a line that involves Shuko and Aether Vial. I mean, the card quality, power level of those Silver Bullet cards is incredible, and it has so much access to them. Green Sun Zenith, Natural Order. So many ways of getting whatever it is that you need. Of course, Fiend Artisan, really the major improvement, kind of a birthing pod style effect. Allows you to go get whatever you need out of your deck. Elvish Reclaimers on the side of Elves means that you have a ton of access to your Gaia's Cradles as well. This is certainly a very different build of Elves than we'd seen in years past that were using things like Glimpse of Nature, Heritage Druid, kind of Elf Ball, where you're just missing, you're doing tons and tons of triggers, maybe missing triggers. Actually, a pretty difficult deck to play in its previous incarnations. This is much more about the overall power level, and then eventually just you can use Fiend Artisan to go ahead, grab your Crater Hoof for the win. This card is, I mean, just gigantic on its own as well after filling your graveyard. Card is an absolute nightmare. Sylvan Safekeeper starting things off. That is going to provide a measure of protection against cards like Grist and Snuff Out. Also a body that can potentially protect a Merit Lage in the case of Sudden Edict. Card that Elves can play. I don't actually know the list. Not going to pause and find it. We have switched over to sending in deck lists digitally, which is fantastic. Getting lists onto MTG Top 8 so much easier. We've already done that for the past Legacy event. Towards the Plowshares, taking out Dryad Arbor. Bolt the Bird. See that Mana Dork on the first turn. Getting him out of there makes all the difference in the world. Sometimes you just win because your opponent's hand really relied on it. But here, we've also got a Green Sun Zenith to go find another accelerant, so a little bit of a setback, but that is resolving. With no counter spells on either side of the table, this is really just a slugfest. Players able to throw absolute bombs at each other. Cards like Natural Order can potentially win on the spot. Of course, making a 2020 Indestructible Flyer not too bad either. Allosaurus Shepherd, probably at its absolute worst in this matchup. I mean, all he's really doing is fueling Gaia's Cradle. It is worth noting that his overrun ability is not as good as it is in traditional elves. There's not a ton of elves in this build. You do have some mana dorks. Allosaurus Shepherd. Deathrite would be so good in this deck. Oh, man. But alas, he'd be good in lots of different decks. I suppose this would be interesting to see how it could port over into Vintage. Allosaurus Shepherd does a lot of work in other matchups. Now we have Knight of the Reliquary coming down. Avamaya so strong with the Knight. APAC Forest there? Sure, I can't actually tell. Let me know if you can identify that forest. Might be one of the Euro ones. Is artwork that I don't immediately recognize as being from one of the old border sets of that era. Pretty sure that's a special print. Elvish Spirit Guide. Exiling. 4 mana. Natural Order. Just going for it here. Crater Hoof would be pretty underwhelming. A legendary creature would not be good enough. Progenitus, well, I mean, I guess almost any legendary creature that is gonna have protection from Karakas on the other side of the board. So the clock is set. Team Hammerfist knows what it needs to do. A Boseiju comes down and cast a Llanowar Elf, and that could be a bad sign. Boseiju could be a very useful card. I guess he couldn't afford to hold on to the Boseiju. Wouldn't be able to utilize it if Wasteland knocked him off of one of his mana. There is the Dark Depths. 2020 can be made. '20 can just be, wow, passing the turn. I am surprised. Wing for 10. During the end step, Knight of the Reliquary to go get a Thespian stage. Likely going to go ahead and try and make a 2020. Targets. Legend rule happens. Oh, and absolutely punished. Oh, man. So the play there was definitely making that 2020 during your own main phase before your opponent has the ability to respond with a Boseiju while being completely tapped out. The shields were down, and Boseiju just completely wins the match right there. What an absolute blowout that was. Wow. Lesson to be learned for everyone there. That one hurts.